Hi guys, this is Coach Amber and
Coach Cliff.
We are the owners of Wreck-It Volleyball and Fistball Club. Today we're going to be doing a in-depth video for the parents and also the athletes that is going to be answering a couple of the big questions that we get when parents call us on the phone.
Right, and today's video we're specifically discussing the differences between the two classes, prep for tournaments and introduction to tournaments.
So something to keep in mind is that the names of the programs are very similar. They both have the name tournament. So when we are talking about this, we may shorten it to prep and intro. Just know that prep is the program that is below intro to tournaments, where there's no tournament connected and they're preparing for their first tournament, which would be intro to tournaments.
And guys, I'm glad you said that, because even though the one class is technically below the other, I do get a lot of questions from parents about moving up. When is it right to move up? And the answer is, most of the time for the average student, they're going to take each level of class between 2 and 3 times. So we do keep track of your students' progress, and actually by the time we're done with the first 3 weeks, halfway through the class, we've actually done an evaluation where if you call us because you're not sure what class to take next, we're actually able to look in the coach's notes, look up your players' details, and we'll be able to say, well, yeah, based on where they're at right now, we recommend that they move up, they're ready for it. So we're monitoring that, we're paying attention to that to help you guys out. But this video is to help you maybe beforehand say, okay, I just want to educate myself a little bit more about the differences between these two classes.
And the other thing to remember is that when we do this video, we are going to be giving you guys a visual aid of the concepts that we are going to be teaching. We're also going to be giving a couple of focal points to help you, because we do know that not every parent plays volleyball. So when you watch this video, just know that you're not learning everything that we're going to go over in the class. It's just to help you understand where we're trying to get the athletes when they actually start the program. And finally, the last thing is to just make sure that when you are watching this, if you have an athlete who is either on the older side or the younger side, but they can do the concepts of the class, it is okay for them to be in a class, even if they're not in the age category, because when we teach, it's about the concepts and not just the age category. So thank you so much for watching, and let's get started with the video. So in the first portion of the video, we are going to be going over the difference between the serves in the prep class versus the intro to tournaments class. So in the tournament prep class, we are going to be going over overhand serving from the floor. We are going to touch a little bit on the jump float, but majority of the class is more about understanding how to have the ball go deeper, shorter, to the left and the right. So Coach Amon is going to demonstrate a couple of the key points that we are going to be going over. So he is going to start behind the cone to help you guys understand the depth, and he is going to be using his toss and his weight transfer step to show how to serve to the left and the right. Go ahead. So notice how he tossed the ball more to his left and he followed through and stepped with his weight transfer step in that direction. So now it's not just about tossing and hitting the ball over the net. It's now utilizing those fundamental progressions that we went over in the beginner class to now put the ball where he wants to put it. So now he's going to go to the right. Good. And then now one of the other things that we're going to be going over is short and deep. So he's going to do a deeper serve, which you're going to notice he's going to be hitting a lot harder, versus a shorter serve. His arm swing is going to be a lot softer and slower. So that is a deeper serve. And then notice how much softer his arm swing is when he does a shorter serve. So now when we go into the intro to tournaments class, we're going to be using those concepts to then have the athletes eventually start to learn how to jump serve. Now, in this class, we're going to be only really focusing on jump serving. In the tournament, they could do whatever they want, but each week we're going to be giving them different concepts where it's going to be jump serve for the first few weeks, and then they're going to be learning how to spot serve with that jump serve. So what Amon was doing, but now in the air. So now Coach Yadira is going to show you what a jump float looks like. So the main keys for this is making sure that you keep your hand up as long as possible, so then it's a faster serve. You toss, you take a few steps, and then you want to make sure you're airborne when you're actually hitting the ball. So it'll look like this. So then same thing, we then are going to be talking about going side to side with the ball. So changing the angle of the actual approach for the jump serve. Go ahead, sorry. to then have it that you are spot serving into different areas. And then finally, she's going to use a faster arm swing versus a slower arm swing to have the ball go deeper versus shorter. So this one, she's going to have a faster arm swing and it's going to go deeper. Good, and then the next one is going to go shorter. So watch how much slower her arm swing is. So you can hear the sound of the ball, and you can also see how much slower her arm swing is to have that differentiation between a deep and a short serve. So that is a few of the concepts that we are going to be going over in the classes. So again, prep is leading up to the actual concept of bringing everything together. And then the Intro to Tournaments class is where they're starting to put everything together and becoming more advanced players. So let's go to the next skill. So in this video, it's going to be a little different compared to our beginner versus tournament program. And the reason is because there are a lot of concepts that the prep athletes go over in their class that then eventually turn into a compound drill where the athletes are going to be focusing on a lot of those concepts in one drill. So the next 3 concepts are going to be just tournament prep class content. And then we're going to show you how the Intro to Tournaments classes combine that when we actually do the drills. So the first thing that we're going to be going over that is only in our tournament prep class, that is where we learn it, we put a lot of depth in it, is going to be the concept of transitioning. So transitioning is when the athletes are on the net. So I'm going to have Coach Amon and Coach Cliff demo. They're on the net blocking the ball, and then the main focal points that we are going to be going over in this class, so in prep, is that the athletes are no longer backpedaling. They want to open up and get to the 10-foot line and turn and run. So this is what they should not be doing. So they're going to jump and then backpedal. So go ahead. So they're jumping and then backpedaling. So this is typically what we will see in programs when we have newer athletes that are trying to transition. So in this class, we're going to be putting a lot of emphasis on the athletes opening up so they can see the setter. So Coach Yadira is going to be acting as our setter. So she's going to be a coach in this drill, but they're going to jump up and then notice how they're both opening up where they can see the setter. And the reason for this is because the setter is giving the ball to the hitter, which is the players who are transitioning. So they want to make sure that they can always see their setter. So notice how they're not opening up the same way. They're actually opening up. Cliff is to his right, and then Amon is going to be to his left. So this is basically what we're going to be doing for the transitioning portion in the prep program. Go ahead. So you jump, open up, and then get to the 10-foot line. Now from here, the coaches will have a ball cart, and they will throw the ball to the athletes, and they're going to hit the ball. So go ahead. So Yadira is going to toss the ball, and then they go to defense. Then they'll do it one more time. So block, transition, and then Yadira is going to toss it to our right side, and then they will go to defense. So the reason why we're doing this is so the athletes are not just going directly under the net after hitting, because that's a big bad habit that a lot of other programs are letting the athletes do. And we are going to be going into the next concept now. So after we go over the concept of transitioning, which is what you just saw, the next skill that we go over is something called swing blocking. So swing blocking is basically where the athletes are in their defensive positions on the net, and they're moving to get behind a set. So if I had a ball, Yadira, can I have a ball, please? And let's say I'm gonna obviously be on the other side in frame still, so I'd be a little further that way. But if I was a setter and I set over here, Cliff is going to follow that ball, so then he's able to block. Because if I had another ball, and let's say that I were to send it to Amon and Cliff were to just standing block, he's now not an effective blocker anymore. So we want to make sure that we are having at least 2 blockers behind every single hit. So the form for swing blocking is to get them over. Now, a big thing that we focus on with this is making sure that the athletes are opening their hips up, taking really big steps, and not getting too crazy with their arms because they can hit the net. And then from there, after they land, you're going to notice how they're going to open up towards each other again, creating a hard angle to then get to the 10-foot line, which is an add-on to what we just did for transitioning. So Cliff is going to demonstrate it. Amon is going to standing block. All right, go ahead, swing block. They're gonna open up towards each other and then get to the 10-foot line. Now the reason why they're going into a V shape is because our setter, so Coach Yadira, would be in the setting zone here. So they're gonna do the exact same drill. So go on the net. Okay, go ahead, swing block. They're gonna open up, and then Yadira is gonna set one of them. and then they'll go to defense, and then they're gonna do it one more time. Go ahead. And then they'll go to defense. So the next skill that we're going to be talking about is setting from the back row. So if we have a right side and a middle, which is Aman is playing as a right side and Cliff is playing as a middle, our setter cannot be rotationally a front row player because we already have a right side. So that means that our setter is coming up from the back row. So now Yadira is going to be demoing what it looks like when you're setting from the back row and how that applies. So when we do drills in our prep program, it's just going to be maybe the right side and the setter, or the middle and the setter. It's not going to be a full combination. So let's show you that now. In this demo, we have Coach Yadira as our active setter in the back row, and we have Coach Aman as a right side. So in this drill, we are going to have it that Yadira is coming from the back row and Aman is going to be jumping, blocking, and transitioning. So she's going to start up a little bit closer. So again, this is for our prep program. So Cliff is going to be on the court. He's going to be acting as one of the coaches. So he's going to slap the ball. And then Aman is going to jump, open up, transition. Setter is going to come up, back set, and then they're going to go to defense. Now in this level in prep, we are most likely not going to have a lot of clean reps with our setting. So in this drill, you saw Yadira go up, she set, Aman made an adjustment to get under the ball, which was perfect. In this level, most of the athletes are going to struggle, especially with back setting. So we just want to make sure that we're demoing what it's going to eventually look like, but at the beginning of the program, it's not going to look like that. Typically what might happen, we're going to show you what it'll look like, is it might be a little chaotic. So it might be Aman will come off the net a little too late, or maybe he's going to backpedal off of the net, and then Yadira might try to back set, but it'll go forward, or it might go too low. So we'll show you what that will actually typically look like in our prep class. And that's perfectly okay. They have a lot of time to develop in these skills, but until they're able to actually execute a proper high set and the transitioning is semi-clean off of the net, they are not allowed to move up into the Intro to Tournaments class. So let's go on to the next skill. So now this is what we are going to be doing for the Intro to Tournaments athletes. So this is what we're going to be working on throughout the program, but this is typically what we do the first couple weeks of the program. So it's a combination of all of the concepts that we just went over. So transitioning on and off of the net, swing blocking, opening up the proper way, and then the setter coming up from the back row. So if you have an athlete who can do 2 or 3 of these concepts, but maybe not as cleanly, it's okay if they go into Intro to Tournaments. But if you have an athlete who has never set from the back row, or an athlete who has never done swing blocking, these are very big, very technical concepts. We recommend that they are taking the prep program. It's only 5 to 6 weeks. It's very quick. They're gonna be able to get through it very quickly. So now what you're gonna see is that combination that we are gonna have the athletes actually executing in gameplay in their tournament in Intro to Tournaments. So Yadira is gonna be our setter, Aman is going to be our right side, and then Cliff is going to be our middle. I'm going to be tossing from off of the court so you can see what's going on. We're first going to show what it is supposed to look like, and then we'll also kind of discuss what the Intro to Tournaments athletes typically actually look like when they're trying to do this. Okay. Ready? Ball. So we swing block. Our setter runs up. They open up, get to the 10. I toss the ball, hit, and then defense. We do it one more time. Swing block, transition, and then defense. So this is the ultimate goal. The athletes should be able to do this by the end of Intro to Tournaments. Typically what we will see is a couple of athletes that may not fully close the block, so there's a big gap between them. Maybe one athlete will backpedal, or the setter may over push the ball, or it might be like a shoot to their face, or it might be off of the net. So now we're gonna show you what that looks like. So Aman is going to accidentally backpedal. Cliff is going to not fully close the block, and then Yadira is gonna give low sets that are not on the net, okay? All right, here we go, ready? Ball, swing block, good, transition, Good, and then one more time. Swing block. Good, transition, and then Aman, free the ball over. And then defense. So typically this is what the start of intro to tournaments looks like, but by the end of the program, we would like to get them to the clean version that we demoed at the beginning of this. So notice how in the prep programs, the athletes are just working on one of the concepts. They're very technical, but then as they get into intro to tournaments, there's an expectation of them being able to combine those concepts to be able to actually execute them in gameplay. So now let's go into the next major concept of intro to tournaments. Okay, so finally, the other thing that we're gonna be starting to go over is defensive movements based on where the setter sets. So in intro to tournaments, we are going to be teaching the athletes how to defend front row and back row for an outside hit and a right side hit. So in this first portion, you're gonna see what the athletes are doing in the front row, and then we'll put the coaches in the back row as well so you can see what they're doing in the back row. So Aman is gonna be right side, Cliff is going to be a middle, and Yadira is going to be an outside. Aman is going to standing block, Cliff is going to be swinging blocking, and then Yadira is gonna be pulling off for tips. Then they are going to transition to get ready to hit. Obviously I'm gonna be on the other side, so they're not actually gonna hit the ball, but just notice the pathways that they have. So if I'm a setter on the other side, they are starting in their defensive positioning here. Now, if I were to set the ball to my outside hitter, that's where Cliff is gonna swing block, just like the drills that we were demoing. So he would wait, see that it's going to the outside, and then from there, then they transition, and then they get ready to hit, and then they go to defense. Now, if the ball goes to my right side, that means that Cliff is gonna be swing blocking the other way, and then Aman is gonna be transitioning to cover for tips, just like Yadira did. So it'll look like this. And then they transition, and then do their hitting approach. So notice how, based on where the setter sets the ball, there are certain locations that the players have to go, and it's all determined based on how they read the setter setting the ball. So thank you so much for watching our video. There is a lot of other stuff that we will be going over in the back row as well for defense, but just know that these are the main concepts that we are putting a lot of emphasis in when we actually are teaching the athletes. And if the athletes are borderline, we recommend doing the lower level because we do put a lot of detail in our programs. And if you're unsure, you can give us a call or email us and we can assist you. Thank you again. Do you have anything to say?
Thank you, guys. Like Coach Amber said, I'll just end with, if you're in between two programs, give us a call. You'll probably talk to me or one of the staff, and we'll be able to review the notes. We'll always be able to help you out. If your kid ends up staying down one extra time and we discuss it, we will even be aware of that in the class, and we might be able to do a little bit of a modification to just help them make sure that whatever areas they're specifically working on, we're paying attention to that. So that's it.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Keep watching our series.
Bye.